Sean McCabe. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the Johnny McCabe Show, where it's all about accelerating your authority in your business or field of expertise. And we do that by helping entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed on any device, anywhere, anytime, in as little as 15 hours, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, on today's entrepreneur journey, I'm going to be joined by someone I've known for several years. Like so many people, I've met Andy in San Diego at a Mike Koenig's event. Now, the first time I was made aware of him was when he was brought on stage to tell his eye-watering story of how attending a Mike Koenig's event, where he had to borrow money for gas and sleep in his car because he couldn't afford a hotel room, saved him from bankruptcy. Now, I officially met Andy shortly thereafter when he joined myself and another attendee for lunch. Now, he's a very open, honest, and humble person who's not afraid to talk about the challenges he's had in his life and how those challenges have helped mold him and turn him into the person that he is today. You're going to hear Andy's story of transformation, where things in his life were very hard. He had a failed business. The bank was threatening to take his home. He was being faced with going into bankruptcy. His marriage was strained, and it didn't look like there was an end in sight. But one generous soul in the Mike Koenig's organization changed all that by allowing Andy to come to one of Mike's events. And the rest, they say, is history. Now, Andy Falco is a 6-time #1 best-selling author. After a 24-year career as a police officer for the city of Anaheim, Andy created one of the most successful dog training companies in the United States, Falco Canine Academy. Andy then created a security company that also had great success, but then a meteoric crash and burn. Now, from the ashes of near bankruptcy, foreclosure, and debt, Andy immersed himself into learning about social media marketing, video production, and product creation. From that, he turned his fortunes around, saving his home from foreclosure, paying off the debt, and even obtained a $300,000 contract with an entire country. Now, Andy has increased his platform and now has appeared on every major network, creating his own TV shows on social networks, and is in the production stages of 2 shows on major TV networks. Andy now teaches others how to do the same thing with their life and business. The Zero to Hero School is administered in either a private coaching program or through a very effective online training program. And lastly, Andy is a partner in a mastermind group called The Masters that has 35 active and successful members. Now, he helps business owners who are stuck with a great story, who are struggling to get noticed and being able to monetize their message, product, or service. Now, Andy works with his clients and teaches them that their story will help elevate them to new heights and build their authority in their market niche. So don't go away, because when I return, I'm going to be joined by my guest and good friend, Andy Falco, as he shares with us his entrepreneur journey. Hey, thanks for joining me on today's show, The Entrepreneur's Journey, where we talk with a successful entrepreneur about their journey, usually through some turbulent times. We'll hear about the lowest of the lows, the highest of the highs, and everything in between. So strap in, because today's going to be one hell of a roller coaster ride. For most of us, we felt what it's like to be short on funds from time to time. And many of us know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. But what happens when there's too much month left and when the money runs out? How about if the bank comes knocking, wanting your house back while you're struggling to cover the bills? Well, that's the reality of my friend not too long ago. But with the help of Robin Phillips from the Mike Koenig's organization, things changed. My guest was introduced to a new world, a new mindset, and had a new strategy for providing for his family. And during the show, you'll hear about this and much more during his journey into entrepreneurship. Now, Andy Falco is a 6-time #1 best-selling author. After a 24-year career as a police officer for the city of Anaheim, Andy created one of the most successful dog training companies in the United States, Falco Canine Academy, as well as a security company that also had great success, but then a meteoric crash and burn. From the ashes of near bankruptcy, foreclosure, and debt, Andy immersed himself into learning about social media marketing, video production, and product creation. From that, he turned his fortunes around, saving his home from foreclosure, paying off the debt, and even obtained a $300,000 contract with an entire country. Andy now teaches others how to do the same thing with their life and business. The Zero to Hero School is administered in either a private coaching program or through a very effective online training program. And lastly, Andy is a partner in a mastermind group called The Masters that has 35 active and successful members. So please give it up with likes, love, shares, and a virtual flurry of thumbs up and heart icons across the screen for my good friend and guest today, Andy Falco. How you doing, Andy?
Fantastic, John. I'm very, very happy to be on your show.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate you spending the time with me today down in hopefully sunny California.
Yeah, it's going to actually be 95 today, believe it or not. I'm glad I'm inside right now.
And here where I am located, it's there's still snow on the ground. So let's just not talk about the weather. I'm sure we have much better things to talk about than the weather. Well, mainly because my weather is not nearly as good as your weather.
Well, it was raining 2 days ago.
Okay, well, I still take a little bit of rain with the sun. Well, you guys need the rain, though.
We do. We need lots of rain. Send down the snow, please.
Yeah. Well, when it melts, it'll all run down. I think your guys' companies are taking all our water anyway. Nestle comes in and takes all of our Canadian water, leaving us with next to none. So,
yeah,
I think they're doing the same thing in your country, actually. But well, thanks for being on the show, Andy. First thing we like to do before we get too far into it is an interview, a speed round of questions. I know you watched the show before. You've been in the audience, so you know what you're getting into here. It's nothing that you needed to study for. There's no test at the end. So what I'd like everyone else to do is just play along with Andy. If you want to answer the questions, just enter them into the Facebook chat and see how your answers match up to Andy. So you all set?
Yes, ready.
All right. So name the book that impacted your life the most.
Well, just about every question, I think I'm going to have two answers. Okay. I'm going to try to narrow it down to one. But Leadership and Self-Deception is probably one of my favorite books that I was recommended. It really impacted my life in understanding my own self-deception of my belief system and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then the other one is Whale Done. Whale, like the blow, the fish that goes under. Whale Done is a fantastic book. It really, those two books are two of my favorites.
Excellent. So when you were a young boy, who was your celebrity crush?
My celebrity crush was Farrah Fawcett.
I think yesterday's guest, no, I had another guest on this week that was crushing on Farrah Fawcett too.
Yeah, and Donna Summer, not Donna Summers. Shoot, I forgot the other one. But there's Suzanne Summers.
Suzanne Summers, yeah. So what book, podcast, or show are you into right now?
I'm into, so many shows. I think Band of Brothers right now, for whatever reason. I'm late to that program.
Yeah.
But I started watching it and it's been fantastic. I love that show. And Narcos is another one.
Excellent. So are you currently working with any coaches?
Not currently, but I follow a couple people really closely. Ed Rush is one of those guys right now that I follow just about everything he does, and I've gone to some events that he's had, so I could kind of call him a coach. I've not directly been coached by him other than being at all of his live events.
Right.
I even invited him down to speak to our church, and just a really good guy. He's a good guy to have as a mentor.
Excellent. Yeah, I've worked with him personally actually a couple times, and been in his mastermind, so I 100% agree. Speaking of masterminds, are you currently involved in any mastermind other than the one that you're coordinating?
Other than the Masters?
Yes.
Not right now. I'm putting a couple others together. But I was a member of the Masters. It used to be called the Mastermind Retreat. And so that was I was a member of that first. And then they asked me to partner up with them. And so that's been awesome.
Excellent. Name a person, either dead or alive, who you'd most like to meet and have dinner with. So many, but Houdini for sure, because I was a magician when I was a kid, and I know everything about him, and just would want to make sure that everything I've learned about him is true, and so I think that's the one for sure. Alfred Hitchcock is another one, but I think Houdini would be probably number one on my list. Excellent. So, what's your favorite type of vacation between the two, beach or adventure tour?
I love the beach, except for I think that I tend to be more adventurous. And one time I have had to go to Slovakia and Poland and Hungary a couple times to purchase police dogs for police departments. And I found it fascinating going to all those locations. I went to Krakow and just love the history, the World War II history. My dad was in World War II, so I think adventure, just learning about those countries.
Yeah, for me, I can only spend so much time on a beach. I'm not the
Yeah.
I'm not the layout on the beach type. I'm the sit in the shade and drink beers at the bar type while I watch everybody on the beach. But
Yeah. I'm horrible to go to a museum with because I stop at everything and read it and stare at it. And so people go, "What? How do you spend so much time in a museum?" I don't know. I love learning and I love history.
Just absorbing the history and stuff. So,
Yeah.
what's the best business advice you ever received?
It was on stage on a hot seat down at one of Mike Koenig's events, and it was that I wasn't creating my websites or any of my emails or anything that I did that was directed to the customers I was looking for. I had designed everything for me.
Right.
And as if I was like a 30-year-old SWAT team member on the police department, and that's speaking to. And they said, okay, who is it what kind of customers are you looking for? I go, well, people with pet dogs. And then we're talking about the dog business.
Yeah.
Pet dogs that have dogs that have either eaten their shoes or underwear or peed on their couch. And they said, well, do you think a 60-year-old woman who has a dog who's peed on her couch would come to your website seeing you being attacked by police dogs and being chased by police cars and helicopters? Do you think they feel like they went to the right place to find that person that's going to help them with their dog that peed on their couch? And I said, no, but I think my website's really cool. And so they said, no, you're not speaking to your audience. You're not speaking to your perfect customer. So that actually was the first thing that began to change my life.
Excellent. That's great advice. So last question, multi-part. So is it water, beer, or wine, pizza, wings, or salad? Obviously not all the time, but what is your favorite? Water, beer, or wine, pizza, wings, or salad?
This will sound weird, but salad.
Okay. And for drink?
Beer.
Excellent. So beer and salad it is. So everyone give Andy a round of applause by hitting that like button, love button, and be sure to share this video with your friends on Facebook and in your business page as well. So just going to do a quick peek, Andy, see who's on the show. Wendy Zelmer joined. Julie Hoffman said, hey, Johnny, just stopped in to say hi. Wendy Zelmer says she loves the show. So thanks, everybody, for joining us today. If you have any questions or any comments for either myself or Andy, definitely put them in the chat and we'll try to get to them throughout the show. And if we can't, we'll answer them after the show in the Facebook comment section. And if you're just joining me, I'm speaking with Andy Falco. He's a 6-time #1 best-selling author. After a 24-year career as a police officer for the city of Anaheim, Andy created one of the most successful dog training companies in the United States, Falco Canine Academy, as well as a security company that also had great success, but a meteoric crash and burn. From the ashes of near bankruptcy, foreclosure, and debt, Andy immersed himself into learning about social media marketing, video production, and product creation. From that, he turned his fortunes around, saving his home from foreclosure, paying off the debt, and even obtained a $300,000 contract with an entire country. Andy now teaches others how to do the same thing with their life and their business. The Zero to Hero School is administered in either a private coaching program or through a very effective online training program. And lastly, Andy is partner in a mastermind group called The Masters that has 35 active and successful members. So Andy, can you just give us, for those watching, maybe 3 minutes or so, just give everyone your origin story. So where you're from, where you came from, and what got you to this point. Just a very quick, brief one, because we're really going to get into your entrepreneur's journey throughout the show.
Sure. Well, I grew up in La Mirada, California, which is the courtesy capital of the world. Everybody should know that. I eventually, after graduating from high school, became a magician, a juggler at Knott's Berry Farm. That's important for later on, because I'm going to talk about why that's important. Then I don't know how I became a police officer, but I became a police officer with the city of Anaheim. And I always tell people I could either ended up in front of the bars or behind the bars, and so I chose to be in front of the bars. And so became a cop, was really interested in the canine program. I found that I had a passion for it, and not as much just training the dogs and learning about how to train a dog and teach a dog to do these specific skills, but I really found myself having an interest and skill at training people and training police officers, and that's something that you don't find very much in the dog world. And so because of that, I began to get recognized as an expert in dog training, began training, a bunch of police departments throughout the nation, and then it just kind of rose from there, and then started a business. And the next thing I know, I'm an entrepreneur, and really there's some aspects of that that are important that I should have known getting to be an entrepreneur that it didn't happen. That I really should have taken a little bit more care in learning about being an entrepreneur before I became one.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. So share with us how you actually got into entrepreneurship after retiring from the police force.
Well, as I was as a canine handler and beginning to recognize that my dog was really very skilled, people kind of realized that, or didn't realize, but they had heard that the dog wasn't that great when I first got him. But now all of a sudden the dog was finding bad guys that we never would have been able to find. He was finding narcotics and seizing, narcotics related money and homes and trucks, and we were having this great success. Mm-hmm. And everybody knew where I had started with this dog that really didn't work when I got him. Yeah. And they said, "Wow, how did you do that?" And so I began to get this kind of following of what it is I was doing and how I did it. And so then out of that became a business, because people said, well, if you can do that with that dog and have that much success, can you help me with my dog? And so that's while I was a police officer, I started the business, and again realized that I had a specific skill at not only training dogs but helping teach human beings. And it just grew. It was kind of by accident. It turned into one of those things that I just kind of loved doing, that people started offering me money to do it. And nice. I said, wow, this entrepreneur thing is really easy. People are paying me to do something that I love. And I kind of, started to believe that I was a really good entrepreneur because people were paying me.
So let's talk about the Canine Academy. So at what point did you retire from the police force and focus specifically on that? And then talk a little bit more about the security business that seemed to go south after it went north.
Well, in 2005, they retired me. I had a car accident. I was responding to a call, and on my way to that call, somebody ran a red light, and we just met in the intersection. Mm-hmm. I apparently was knocked out. I don't remember being knocked out, but I was told that I was knocked out, and had vertigo and all the head injury stuff that goes along with concussions and that kind of stuff. So they retired me. And so it was because of that I started focusing on the business. And again, I had fooled myself because people were offering me money to help them with their dogs, and it just again seemed really easy. But then you start to add that you needed that I needed a location, I needed a building that I had to lease and pay rent. I then had licensing issues, and then I had employees. And then I had to, again, travel to Europe to buy dogs and ship them. And so all of a sudden now you have all this overhead that I used to not have. It was just me teaching people about dogs. So overhead, HR issues, state licensing and federal taxes and state taxes and all this stuff. I was kind of juggling it and keeping up in the air. And in the midst of juggling it, I had this great idea of starting a security company. So, and again, great success. I don't know if it's my ability to be able to talk to people or be able to sell myself, but I went from having 5 employees to having 500 employees almost overnight.
Wow. And
becoming responsible for the security of such things like Coachella Fest and Stagecoach, which are huge events here in California, and then Comic-Con in San Diego, which is another huge event. Millions of, just hundreds of thousands of people attend that. And I was responsible for the security I'm telling you, days after launching my security company. Well, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go from 5 employees to 500 employees if you don't know what you're doing. And so what happened was I ended up losing probably about $200,000. Now I got paid a heck of a lot of money. And so it's funny because people say, well, you made about, $1 million on those contracts. You must be rich. I said, yeah, but I paid out $1,200,000 to employees and all the other stuff that goes along with it. Yeah. And so ended up in about $200,000 in debt and lost everything.
Yeah. So at that point in time, you're basically, barely be able to cover the bills that are coming in, let alone the $200,000 debt that you had incurred. So you're faced with some very terrible decisions at that point in time. I'm sure the bank's knocking on the door. Bill collectors are knocking at the door wanting some money. So you're in a very, very precarious situation at that point in time.
One of my colleagues came and hung a piece of paper on my door in my house saying that I had 30 days to get out because it was foreclosed on.
Wow. All right, if you guys are just joining me, I'm speaking with Andy Falco. He's a 6-time #1 best-selling author. After a 24-year career as a police officer for the city of Anaheim, Andy created one of the most successful dog training companies in the United States, Falco Canine Academy, as well as a security company that also had a great success but a meteoric crash and burn. Now, from the ashes of near bankruptcy, foreclosure, and debt, Andy immersed himself into learning about social media marketing, video production, and product creation. From that, he turned his fortunes around, saving his home from foreclosure, paying off the debt, and even obtained a $300,000 contract with an entire country. Now, Andy now teaches others how to do the same thing with their life and their business. The Zero to Hero School is administered in either a private coaching program or through a very effective online training program. And lastly, Andy is a partner of a mastermind group called The Masters that has 35 active and successful members. So if you have any questions for Andy, just type them in the Facebook comments and we'll try to get to them throughout the show. And if not, we'll definitely answer them after the show has been aired. Just going to do a quick shout out. Well, Andy, it looks like our friend has finally joined us. Mr. Lockwood himself has graced us with his presence. And he has some great comments, which I'll only read a couple. McCabe and Falco, 2 marketing giants together at last. McCabe appears at Comic-Con as himself. And my dogs are great at sniffing other people in unmentionable areas. Does Falco have a course that can help?
Yes, we do.
There you go. So buy his course, Lockwood, and he'll definitely help your dogs with the issues that they have. So,
yes.
Andy, so here you are. You're almost bankrupt. You're 30 days from being foreclosed on. So what happened to turn things around?
One other thing that happened, the first big thing that happened is I was already scheduled to go to a Tony Robbins event in San Jose. And I purchased the tickets and had one of my associates that was going to go also to really help us really with that. And so when I bought it, the security company was doing really well. And I wanted to go to make sure that I, continued that work. But in the middle of all that, I had that big crash. So I called Tony Robbins' office, their offices, not Tony Robbins personally, but their offices, and said, hey, I can't afford to even go to your event, much less the ticket that I spent, which was like, I think it was like $1,800 or something like that for each one of the tickets. And I said, could I please have my money back? Because I can't afford to buy groceries right now. And they said, no, you can't have your money back. You need to find a way to get here because it will change your life. And I said, no, I really do need the money. And they said, sorry, there's no way that we can refund your money. You have to come. And so I was not that happy about that.
I don't imagine.
So I end up going to it, and I'm not sure how I even was able to get up there. I can't even remember how that all happened, but it was a fantastic event. If you've not been to Tony Robbins' event, it really was a lot different. I've read his books and listened to tapes and things like that and other stuff, but it was a life-changing event for sure. But at that event, I heard about this guy named Mike Koenigs down in San Diego who was putting together a couple programs that may help me with my marketing because that's one of the things I didn't do well, obviously, because I told you, at least at that point, my website really wasn't speaking to my clients. I did not know it yet, but right. I would soon learn that. So I call up the organization that Mike had at the time, Traffic Geyser, spoke to one of his salespeople. His name's Robin Phillips. And I said, what is this program? And do you think it could help me what I'm at? I go, I'm broke. I need help. I need to find customers fast. I don't know how to find customers, but I need to get out of this hole that I'm in. I don't know any other thing that I can do. And Robin said, well, come down to San Diego. We have this 3-day event. Come down and be a part of it, and it'll begin this process of teaching you how to market your business and hopefully getting you customers and very quickly and build my list, which I didn't know what a list was. I have no idea what you're talking. He was speaking all this jargon. I had no idea what he was talking about. And I said, I can't afford the ticket. They were $97. I said, I just came back from a Tony Robbins event, which I couldn't afford, and now I can't even afford the $97. And he said, well, if you can find a way to get there, I will comp you the tickets. Just find a way to get there. And so I was able to borrow some money for gas, drove my truck down to San Diego, which is about 2 hours away, and knowing that I was going to have to sleep in my truck in order to be there. And lucky for me, I got on one of the hot seats and got on stage, and Mike Koenigs, Ed Rush, Pam Hendrickson, and Paul Colligan were on the hot seat. They were the leaders of the hot seat, and they tore me apart and told me I didn't know what I was doing, and gave me good direction. That was the good news, and I took their direction, and again began to change how I was doing it.
So, what did you do with the opportunity that was presented to you from the event? So basically, they were gracious enough to comp you the ticket. You got to go on stage, which only a select few do. So what did you do with that opportunity? Obviously, you didn't have money to invest in the program that they were selling at the event. So what happened, and how did you turn things around?
Well, the good news, they did have a $1 option that you could get it for $1 for 30 days.
Oh, yes, I remember that, the instant customer $1 option.
Yep. So I did that. I really took good notes. I listened to what they had to say. I can't tell you that I did everything they said 100%. I only did probably 75%, which again is a part of my story. But even doing 75%, it really began to change my business. I immediately changed my website based on what it is they told me. I began creating emails that spoke more to my customer. I created my avatar, which at that time and still is today for the pet dog training stuff. Her name is Sally Frost, and I know everything there is about Sally Frost. She's an actual person who is actually one of my best customers, and I began speaking to her directly through all my marketing and put that into place. I wrote a book immediately. Got that published and was able to use that as a lead magnet. And as quickly as I could get those things working, the clientele began to roll in, and my classes were bigger than they'd ever been before. I started to get on television pretty quickly, and everything just began to get much better. I was eventually able to save my house from foreclosure. That took a little bit more work. It took help from a really good attorney involved in the case. But I would not have done it if I didn't think I was going to be able to afford it. Right. So I was able to, because of what was happening, I was able to move quickly, and I could see the progress I was making. So I hired an attorney, saved my house, was able to afford the payments, and began to pay off the debt.
Excellent. So how did the $300,000 contract come about with respect to the country?
Well, that's a good question because it all fits in perfectly. The authority that I had from all my years of training police dogs, and how I was better able to now communicate it to the right people was key. And then now the celebrity that I was able to create, again, through the teaching of Mike Koenigs and the rest of his crew, I began to create my own celebrity. And that was through the book, because now I'm a published author and a #1 best-selling author. So that started the progress. Because of that #1 best-selling book, I started to get on TV. I began to get on I got on a show called Love My Pitbull. And that was Cesar Millan. He called me and asked me to help him produce the show or put content in for the show. Yeah. And that was because of my book. And then what else? I got another show called Showdown of the Unbeatables. And that was about a dog that I trained to find peanuts. And so that were the two things that created celebrity. So now here's a country looking for the best dog trainer in the world to train bomb dogs. They saw that I trained bomb dogs, that I'd been on National Geographic, that I was a #1 best-selling author, and that celebrity forced them to believe, and thankfully it's true, that I had a specific skill in training bomb detection dogs. And so because of all that, they called me and said, hey, we know you're the best. We've done our research. We've seen all the things that you've done. We want you to train our dogs. They said it with an accent, though, that I can't do. And they said, we're going to send a contract, and we want your contract back. And so we met in the middle of the contract, and they then wired money into my bank account, which I hope that answered your question properly.
Very, very nice. So if you guys are just joining me, I'm speaking with Andy Falco. He's a 6-time #1 best-selling author. After a 24-year career as a police officer for the city of Anaheim, Andy created one of the most successful dog training companies in the United States, Falco Canine Academy, as well as a security company that also had a great success but a meteoric crash and burn. From the ashes of near bankruptcy, foreclosure, and debt, Andy immersed himself into learning about social media marketing, video production, and product creation. From that, he turned his fortunes around, saving his home from foreclosure, paying off the debt, and even obtained a $300,000 contract from an entire country. Andy now teaches others how to do the same thing with their life and their business. The Zero to Hero School is administered in either a private coaching program or through a very effective online training program. And lastly, Andy's a partner in a mastermind group called The Masters that has 35 active and successful members. So if you have any questions or any comments for Andy, please type them in the chat. We'll try to get to them throughout the show. And if we're not able to answer them throughout the show, we'll definitely answer them in the Facebook comments once the show is concluded. So Andy, from attending that very first event, you saw some success. You're generating some income pretty quickly by taking action. So how did that event actually change your life, your family's life at that point in time?
Well, I think obviously when you are, when you have some level of success and you are kind of validated, I think that was the word I was looking for. I couldn't find it, but you're validated that your systems that you have, right? So I knew that I was really good at this concept of training dogs. I created a concept called training your dog with love and respect. And that works with police dogs, detection dogs, or pet dogs. And having that understanding how love and respect works both ways between the dog towards the owner and the owner towards the dog. It was a concept that I believed in and had seen the difference that it made in even dogs that had bitten people then would have otherwise been euthanized, that we were able to save them and save the dog and save the relationship with that family. So that validation, that concept is great. And because I was able to put it in a book form and also was able to be seen on television as an authority and expert, that really does give you that validation, what you need. It gives you the confidence, and it gave me the confidence to say that I was an expert. And up to that point, I never told anybody that I was an expert, ever, because it just didn't feel right. I didn't know how, I didn't know how to say it and not have self-doubt. Yeah. So it took away that self-doubt, and that really was probably the most important thing. And so now that you're walking around with your head back up again, because before that I was, it was horrible. There's still effects from that time, especially in my marriage and in family and things like that. It really just, it's so hard on a family. Money issues, communication issues, those two things are probably the leading two things that end marriages and end relationships. And so, there's a lot of recovery that has to take place, but it's a lot easier to do with your head up. Right, and your head up high, and just knowing that the future is better than what the past was. So I think in those cases that ability to call myself an expert and to have validation that what I had to offer actually could change lives.
Excellent. So let's talk about what happened next. Now the pressure's off. You financially, you saved the house. You have some income coming in. Share with us sort of the next couple of years. So what took place over the next couple of years? What did you focus on? How did you keep the money rolling in on a regular basis?
Well, I can't, there was so much debt that it was a big hole I had to fill. And so it's been a long road. And so as I'm now, reaching zero and now being able to make money, because I don't want to give the, full disclosure, is that because there was so much debt, there is a time where you're still just trying to get through, because it's kind of just like anything else. There's other effects, other things get affected. Like now you got to hire attorneys and pay them. Oh, yeah. So then you have to, you have tax issues that come up, and you got all this other kind of stuff. So even though it's $200,000, you can pay off $100,000, but you got another $50,000 because now you had to hire attorneys and all that kind of stuff. So just saying that, and so it's still. My goal is to now that I'm at zero, now to increase that income and change direction. So the outcome is that the business was saved, the house was saved. I got rid of the security company. And now I'm at a place that I was able to sell the dog training part of the business. Now, you can hear dogs every so often. I still have my office in our kennel here, but I'm selling off the dog training business. And the reason I can do that is because I saved it, and now that it's not in the negative,
right.
I'm able to now sell it to another trainer that I have trained, and she has now taken over the pet dog training business. So that's a good thing. So now somebody else is doing all the hard work in relation to training people and their dogs. I put together an online training program for dog training, and there's probably 10 different programs in that particular membership site. And so that's automated. So now people can get trained by me through video, and I don't have to actually go anywhere to do it. I don't even have to see the dog, right? They pay me, and they just watch videos. And I woke up in the morning and seen people pay me to train their dog, and I was sleeping.
Nice.
So that's fantastic. And so now, because I've gotten out of the dog training business for the most part, although I still speak about it and do a lot of things related to dog training, I'm now being able to move into helping other people do what I was able to do, and that is create a celebrity and authority in no matter what it is they're doing. And so that's where I'm at now. That's what I was able to do.
So basically, you're doing exactly the same thing for other people that you did to save your own business through the education you receive from the marketing strategies, the systems that you're using, how to implement them, the social media aspect of it, using a variety of different social platforms to position yourself as the authority in your marketplace, and as well as to accelerate that so it doesn't take you nearly as long to get to that celebrity status. So
that was about 5 years ago that I started that whole trek, right? Okay. And so my job is now to help people not take 5 years to do that. And so if I could shorten it up to a couple of months. Yeah.
Excellent. So if you guys are just joining me, I'm speaking with Andy Falco. He's a 6-time #1 best-selling author. After a 24-year career as a police officer for the city of Anaheim, Andy created one of the most successful dog training companies in the United States, Falco Canine Academy, as well as a security company that had also had great success, but a meteoric crash and burn. Now, from the ashes of near bankruptcy, foreclosure, and debt, Andy immersed himself into learning about social media marketing, video production, and product creation. From that, he turned his fortunes around, saving his home from foreclosure, paying off the debt, and even obtained a $300,000 contract with an entire country. Now, Andy now teaches others how to do the same thing with their life and their business. The Zero to Hero School is administered in either a private coaching program or through a very effective online training program. And lastly, Andy is a partner in a mastermind group called The Masters that has 35 active and successful members. So if you have any questions for either Andy or myself, just type them in the Facebook chat, and we'll get to them throughout the show. And if we can't get them throughout the show, what we'll do is we'll answer them after the show has already been aired in Facebook chat as well. So I'm just going to do some shout outs. I see Raina Spence has joined us. My mother's joined again. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Heather Morrow has joined us, and of course Andy Lockwood's still leaving comments. He has I have love, respect, and other strange emotions for McCabe and Falco. So it's always funny reading Andy's comments, even though they're mostly inappropriate. It always makes me smile every time I look down and I see that he made a comment. I know I just automatically smile. So which is actually, when you're doing a show just looking at a camera, you forget to smile sometimes. Yeah. So at least I know when he's on the show, I don't have to worry about thinking about smiling. So, Andy, you and I are actually very much alike. We're juggling two worlds. You're doing the dog training space as well as the marketing consultant advisor. I'm in the real estate investing space as well as a marketing consultant advisor. So my question is, how do you manage to completely separate the two, or do you, so that you're able to build and accelerate your authority in both spaces?
Well, that came to the point where I had to, really sell the aspects of my dog training business that required me to be present, and so that had to be done. I had tried for a little while to do both, realizing that I was going to kill myself. Again, that's another thing that happens with us entrepreneurs sometimes, is that we spend so much time on our business, and I felt like I had to try to recover so much that it takes a toll on your marriage. You're not there and you're not present, and things are happening, and I was traveling all over the place. And so between all of that, something had to change. And so definitely had to sell off the aspect of me having to be present on that dog training. And so got rid of that. And then I found people to take care of the things that I did not do well, which is an assistant that would take care of scheduling, to take care of my accounting, and still have to hand some. It's hard handing stuff over, but I'm getting better at it. Mm-hmm. And so I've gotten better at handing those things off to somebody else that I don't do well, which is anything with numbers. If it involves numbers, I'm horrible. And if it involves spelling, I'm horrible at spelling. So I have editors now that I'm hiring. I just found one recently that's going to help me with all that stuff. If you ever see any of my Facebook postings, there's always a misspelled word. Sometimes I misspell my own name. So my good friend Everett O'Keefe is always finding my misspellings and pointing them out. And so so that's really important. You got to find people that will take those areas that you just don't do well. And don't take on things that again, that you can't do, and tell people that you can. So I'm surrounding myself with other people that can take care of the things that I don't want to do.
Right. So what products or services do you offer in the two different spaces? So basically now you're pretty much out of the dog training space, except for your online solution, your digital courses. So that's all you're offering for the dog space right now? Personally?
Yep, at falco.dogtraining.com. It has everything from, taking your dog to a dog park and how to make that a better experience, to a 7-week training program for the pet dog owner, from starting with, bringing the dog into your home and picking which kind of collars you're going to use, and all the way to obedience and that kind of stuff. And then I have, day-to-day issues with your dogs, and that's a whole nother dog training about, what happens, how can you teach your dog not to run out the front door when you open it up, or that kind of stuff. Well, now I have to add one for Andy Lockwood, and that's sniffing people's crotches, apparently. And so I got to get that training in there. But that's where the day-to-day dog training, and then another one, how to train your dog, or not, how to feed your dog raw and natural in a healthy way. So that's the membership site. And that's already done, and I don't have to worry about it much anymore, other than updating a few things here and there. And then on the zerotoheroschool.com that you can go to, I'm putting in all kinds of training to teach people how to write their book, how to create a Facebook Live TV show, much like the one that you're doing and the one that I do, called the Facebook Live TV show. Yep. And then other aspects of creating a sound marketing plan for their businesses. So automation is key, and then only taking on maybe 5 to 7 clients that I really want to work with and help them do the same thing. So I'm really limiting myself to just having just a few clients that I work directly with, and even have an application process that they have to apply for if they want the opportunity to build their celebrity and authority. Yeah,
I think that's key, is not, and you learn this from experience, not sort of extending yourself so much that you've got way too much stuff going on. It's too hard to handle. It affects your personal life and your family life. Just sort of trying to stay in control. And it's much easier to do when you only have a small group of core people that you're actually working with. And the rest, if you can automate the rest of it and turn it on autopilot, so you're creating that passive income. It's an asset that's working for you all the time, because it's just there, and people are getting good value out of it. Now, do you still drive traffic to it, to the different spaces? So the dog training system, as well as the Zero to Hero, what are you doing to drive traffic to those two different websites?
Yeah, well, right now the best thing that I'm using right now is Facebook Live. If you have a business, I don't care what it is, if you can find a way to create a show or some type of engagement with your audience using Facebook Live, it's probably the best thing to do, because like us, like you're able to communicate with people that are logging in and see their comments and respond to them, and creates a connection with the people that are interested in what it is you're doing. And so on the dog training side of things, I do a show called the Falco Canine Dog News, where I talk about dogs in the news, and then of course talk about my products and services that I have to offer that people can go to. I still send people to the dog trainer, dog training live because somebody else owns it and I get a residual from that. And so I definitely want people to go and get trained by our trainers who licensed out my company name and the processes for which I train dogs. And so I still send them there. And so I'm still active in that world. Like I said, I talk a lot about it, but I don't have to do the actual training of the dogs much anymore. And then same thing with the creating my own celebrity on the helping entrepreneurs side of things. I created the Facebook Live TV show where we talk about everything that you and I are talking about today.
Excellent. If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with Andy Falco. He's a 6-time #1 best-selling author. After a 24-year career as a police officer for the city of Anaheim, Andy created one of the most successful dog training companies in the United States, Falco Canine Academy, as well as a security company that also had great success, but then a meteoric crash and burn. Now, from the ashes of near bankruptcy, foreclosure, and debt, Andy immersed himself into learning about social media marketing, video production, and product creation. Now, from that, he turned his fortunes around, saving his home from foreclosure, paying off the debt, and even obtained a $300,000 contract with an entire country. Andy now teaches others how to do the same thing with their life and their business. The Zero to Hero School is administered in either a private coaching program or through a very effective online training program. And lastly, Andy is a partner in a mastermind group called The Masters that has 35 active and successful members. So if you have any questions or comments that you want to ask either Andy or myself, just leave them in chat and we'll try to get to them before the show ends. And if we're not able to answer them during the show, then we'll reach out and we'll answer them after the show in the Facebook comments. So I just want to welcome Heather Morrow and Russell Tober to the show as well. So if you have any questions, just let us know. Now, Andy, how much of a difference has being part of the Masters Mastermind been for you in your business and your life?
It's probably the next best thing that I've done, other than, the only other thing being that I went to San Diego on that day and was torn apart on stage. And that is when you're part of a small community of people that really can also be honest with you about what it is you're doing. And you can share your successes and failures and help each other out in this really close-knit, tight community that Everett O'Keefe and Berlinda had created. And just again, it's about people talking to you in your language and being able to really feel comfortable that they can speak to you honestly about what it is that you've decided to do or want to do for your marketing or your business and that kind of stuff. And so right off the get-go, when I joined the Mastermind Retreat, like I said, what it used to be called before it became the Masters, is that I was the dumbest person in the room. And that's exactly where I wanted to be, because I wanted to learn from those that knew more than I did about this world of marketing and creating celebrity and authority. And that's what happened. So I think, trying to remember where my first event was, I think it was Aspen, Colorado. Okay. I could be wrong. It could be one of the other places, but that's where, I just go, wow, I'm in the right place, because they were talking about these things like, again, what is a list, and then why is it important to have a list, and what's the process of creating a list, and how do I capture their name and email address, and what do I do with that now that I have it? How do I use my book as a magnet to create interest in what it is I'm doing? Yeah. And then what do I do with all that information? Do I speak on stage, or do I do webinars, or do I create video programs? How do I create a video program and platform and membership site? I knew none of that stuff, and the membership in the mastermind group really was the step I needed to learn all that stuff.
Excellent. So how many years have you been involved in that group?
It's been 2.5 years, I believe.
2.5 years. And now you're one of the partners. You help facilitate it?
Yeah, and that's the one thing. I mean, it obviously was a great place to be, because then I got really motivated and really began to implement the things that I was learning very quickly. Right. Because I had to be motivated. I had to save my house. I had to save the business, and I didn't like being there. I mean, especially being a police officer, and, said we tend to have a little bit of an ego and narcissistic, and when we get pounded down like that, it's not fun for a person with my type of personality. and so I was really motivated. And so I implemented and now became one of the instructors in one of the last events. And then after that, they said, wow, you have a lot of value to what it is we're doing, and so would you? And they invited me to be a partner. So it was awesome.
I think that's one of the key pieces you said is you implemented and you actually took action. I think a lot of people that go through a variety of different training programs or they invest in these courses or seminars, probably 95% of them just, they don't take the action necessary. It's not that they need any more education. It's just that they're out of fear or out of some other reason, they're just not taking that action to propel themselves forward to get the results that they're actually looking to do. So it didn't seem that was an issue for you.
No, it's you got to take those steps. I guess the fear. I talk to people about fear all the time. That fear is going to hold you back. And I felt fear when I decided to be a police officer, and I felt fear before I started the academy, and then I felt fear after the academy, and then when I knew I was actually going to hit the street, and never actually been on a police call before. When somebody, when they call your number and they say, 343, respond to a fight at a bar. That was my very first call to an Irish pub where I knew bikers used to hang out, and I was only 175 pounds. And they said, go to this bar fight at McMurphy's Irish pub there in Anaheim, and seeing people like your size there. Yeah. I know what fear like and how it could cause you not to get out of the car, but you have to, right? Yeah. And so I took that into the business area where there's lots of fear. Getting on camera is fearful for people. Getting on stage, I was incredibly shy as a kid. And so I just learned from my police training that the only thing fear is going to keep you from doing is being successful. Yeah. Going out there and actually feeling how strong you are. I was able to walk into that bar and tell people what they needed to do and ordered them to do specific things. And inside I'm going, shit, they're doing it. Well, it might be that little tin badge that I had on or whatever.
I was just going to say, along with that uniform comes the authority that is already there. So it's not that you personally have the authority, but your position, that uniform, has authority in people's mindset, just like you're creating authority now in the business world in people's mindset. So you're personally doing it in people's minds versus that uniform did it for you on the job.
Yep. Yeah, and this is where the magician part that I told you earlier it was important for me to tell you about that is because in being able to speak to people and convince them of something that's not real helps me convince them of something that I know for sure is real. And so I now have this opportunity to change people's lives, and I know it because it changed my life. Knowing that I needed to learn how to speak to the customer that I really wanted to attract. I know how important that is. And so now being able to speak to people and say, I have this magic trick that is really, really powerful, and this is what you need to add to your business, it really truly is the same thing. And so just knowing that one thing, I know that I have something that's really important for other people to know, especially when I see that it's affecting their business. And so the fear no longer holds me back. I still feel a little uneasy going on stage and speaking. I still feel a little kind of nervous about interviewing somebody that I've never met before. I'm going to interview a lady by the name of Julia Roberts a little bit later on, and that really is her name. I always feel like, gosh, I hope that I ask the right questions and that kind of stuff. So some people can just really let that hold them back. Right. And I'm here to tell people, don't let the fear hold you back. You're going to have it, acknowledge it, but just you got to move forward. So back to the original thing is that implementing is key in understanding that you have to just get past that fear. Just erase it, move forward. I've fallen. We talked about the one time I tried to do a webinar for the very first time using a tool called Livewire. And it completely crashed and burned. I was sweating from places I didn't know I could sweat from because I had about 35 people on that were really waiting for what I had to say, and nothing worked. And it never did work, and I lost them all. I don't even know what happened to those people. But
I've been there too.
I didn't let it stop me from going back and doing another one, right? No. So most people go, oh, I'm never doing that again. That was a horrible feeling. For whatever reason, I kind of get energized from stuff like that. Like, oh, I'm never going to let that happen again. I'm going to come back and I'm going to make it work this time.
That's right.
And so that's another thing about implementation is that let those things that cause you to fall, kind of boost your jets to get you back in the game to do it again. Falling is only just merely an opportunity to get back up and try again.
Exactly. So right now you mentioned several times that you're putting a lot of attention in Facebook Live. Can you let us know exactly briefly, we're running out of time, but briefly, how are you using it to accelerate your authority, not only for your current business, but how do you plan on using it for positioning yourself?
Well, I don't know if I can do this briefly, but I'll try.
Okay.
There's a couple strategies that I'm using with Facebook Live that are very, very powerful. And so one of those is, the most important one is putting myself in a position of authority by being the person who brings the heavy hitters and people that have information that needs to be given to the audience. And so I seek out people to interview and talk to them, and now I can speak to them as an authority because I'm asking the right questions and I'm able to bring them on my show and that kind of stuff. So that's an important thing, and I do that two ways. One of those is by going to trade shows. So let's now go to the dog industry part of it. I'll go to Super Zoo, which is in Las Vegas. It's one of the largest trade shows for the pet industry that there is on the planet. And I go there walking around with my iPhone on a tripod, which I don't have it handy here. And I put my iPhone on a tripod. I have a microphone, and I interview people, vendors at their booths, some of the biggest companies like John Paul Shampoo and Blue Buffalo dog food and some of the big heavy hitters, and I interview them in their booths. They think that I'm somebody because I come to them saying that I got the show called the Healthy Dog Network, and I interview them, and so that puts me in a position. The other side of that is that when I've done that interview, they now share that interview on their websites. So John Paul Shampoo has a very large following. There's nothing better than having them share the video that I did with their representative on their Facebook page, which often has millions of followers. And so that's one of the strategies that I'm using.
Excellent.
The other one, just really quick, is that now I'm interviewing people on the Facebook Live TV show in the areas that I'm specializing in, and that's creating celebrity and authority. And meeting people that know other people. So because I'm interviewing these people, they're inviting me to speak at their events. I've spoken at an event in San Diego called the Social Media Conference in San Diego, and had a very large audience there. I got invited to another event because I spoke at that event, another social media event in front of a large chamber of commerce in San Diego, and in front of the city of San Diego, representatives. Yep. And then from that, I'm getting invited to do a bunch of other stuff. And so it really becomes exponential growth as you begin to put yourself out there as being the authority, using Facebook Live and creating a TV show like the John McCabe Show, a very powerful show. It's just crazy what happens once you start putting yourself out there as the authority. Yeah,
for sure. But Andy, that's all the time that we have today, and I personally want to thank you for being on the show and sharing your life and your journey with us. I'll post any contact links for Andy in the comments section over the next couple days, and once we post this on the website, we'll put all of his contact information in the notes for the show as well. So if anyone wants to connect with Andy or ask him any questions personally, you can definitely do that through the information that I'll provide you. So everyone, show Andy some love. Hit that like button, love button, and be sure to share this with your friends and associates on your Facebook business page. So Andy, it's been great having you on the show, and I really look forward to catching up with you again in the near future. Are you going to San Diego in December?
Yes, that is my plan. I will be there.
Okay, so I was planning to go away for the month of December, but now that one popped in my inbox yesterday, I'm thinking about, I probably think it's a good move, seeing that the space that you and I are both in, that I think it's definitely a show that it's a must-attend show for me as well.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
So definitely, thanks a lot for being on the show, Andy. I look forward to catching up. Actually, I'll be on your show on Saturday. Not sure exactly, 2:30 Mountain Standard Time, 1:30 Pacific Standard Time?
Yes.
Something like that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll see you there. And for everybody else, just stick around I'll be back in just a second with closing remarks for the show. Thanks. Well, thanks for joining me on today's John A. McCabe Show, where we work with entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. Now, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, if you're someone who's looking to take your business to the next level and want to get some coaching advice, why not apply to be a guest on today's show? Now, for most entrepreneurs, we want to create a life of our own, create our own path, and do what we can to reach our own desired outcome, which is generally freedom. freedom to choose what we want to do, when we want to do it, and with whom we want to do it. A life that's full of options and choices, where we worry less about money and more about the quality of time that we spend with others. Now, a great way to make that happen is to leverage other people's knowledge, time, and skill sets. Step one to reaching our freedom life is to realize that you can't do it alone. Working with a coach or being involved in masterminds is a great way for entrepreneurs to move their business forward. Now, a coach can help you shorten the time frame to get you from where you are to where you want to be, while being part of a mastermind is meant to bring entrepreneurs together, all with the goal of helping each other move forward with their business. Now, the second step to creating the life you envision for yourself as an entrepreneur is to implement systems into your business so you can streamline your operations, leverage systems, and free up your time to focus on your family, having fun, and the highest leverage activities in your business. You know, the activities that get you the biggest return on your time invested, the ones that truly make you money. Now, sometimes we just don't know what systems we need, how to implement those systems, or even have the time to find out what is needed. Now, working with a coach or consultant that understands, uses, and specializes in systems that can streamline your operations can help save you time, aggravation, and make you a lot more money. Now, for example, having a system or strategy that allows you to leverage just 15 hours of your time into enough repurposed content to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device is a great example of leverage. Now, just imagine a system where you invest just 15 hours of your time, and the end result is you're a #1 best-selling author. You have enough content that's going to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. You have a successful podcast. Now, it's automatically attracting more attention, giving more value, and generating more leads, which enables you to attract an abundance of paying customers. Now, this is also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, to find out more about the Authority Acceleration Blueprint coaching program or mastermind, then contact me via my website at johnamccabe.com or connect with me through my show's Facebook page. Now, again, thank you for joining us on today's show, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show when I have another great guest on discussing their business and accelerating their authority. So have yourself an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.